37% of businesses in the United States fail within the first 3 years. In the UK, that figure rises to 52%. I've got an idea why that is, but I'll cover that in a later video. If you want it, leave a comment below. That's the differential. But I know why these businesses fail. It's because they're missing one of these 4 key components, illustrated in a deck of cards. Those stats are wild, but actually I think quite optimistic. That means if you live in the US and you start a new business, you've got almost a 60% chance of success. Why do people play the lottery? And the same for the UK. Okay, it's a bit worse. It's probably close to 50% if I'm honest with you, but that's what the data suggests. And the idea of this video is to increase those odds, to make it more likely you're going to succeed. So let's get straight into it. Let's see what this is all about, a deck of cards. So the first card we're going to look at is the clubs. This refers to clouds and blue sky thinking, of course, as a metaphor. There's a metaphor in everything in life, isn't there? But hear me out. What if you do sit there and think about the vision of the business before you get started, before you put pen to paper, before you invest any money up front? The vision is sitting down and thinking about where you want this to go. It's kind of like dreaming. This is the kind of place where it separates the dreamers from the doers in life. This is the stage that everyone gets to. It's the vision, which is great. But what you're going to do is you're going to take it a stage further and you're going to start to try and bring that vision to life. Ask yourself, what impact do I want to have? It could be a social impact, it could be a financial impact, it could be a philanthropic impact. It doesn't matter. It's whatever it is that suits you and your vision and your idea. But thinking about that impact forces you to think about the hows, whats and whys, and should raise even more questions as to how you're going to achieve that. And make a note of all these questions because you'll come back to them later on when writing the business plan. Inspiration. Where does the inspiration come from? Is it because you've come from a background that you were less well off than everyone else, so you want to create a social enterprise that helps more people? Do you want to create a social space for everyone to gather and brainstorm ideas and enjoy some coffee or whatever? I don't know, but wherever that inspiration comes from, this is all part of the club's philosophy. And with all that vision and impact and inspiration comes the clarity. It's here in this part of the philosophy that you distill, or everything comes together in that vision. You get clarity on how you're going to take the next step forward in your new business. Wonderful. But remember, at this stage, you're only 25% of the way of one of the 4 components you need for that ultimate business success, that $1 million business that we all want. So next, hearts. Now, heart is really illustrative of the heart and the minds of the people you intend to connect with. Who you're selling to, what's the niche, what do they like, what do they not like, how old are they, what are the demographic, where do they live, etc, etc, etc. Understanding this, understanding your ideal customer will give you a huge advantage over your competitive landscape. That person that set up the similar business to you down the road or online won't have this advantage that you have because you've given it the forethought now with not only the first pillar, as we've just covered in clubs, but this second pillar now in hearts, where you're looking at your landscape and being really objective and targeting your niche because you're going to create your products, marketing and everything around that individual. Just like the YouTube algorithm, and I know it's listening somewhere. Because you understand the hearts and minds of your customer, it gives you a greater understanding of what your customer services should look like. This customer understanding will give you a way better customer service experience over all of your competitors, hands down. And if you don't think that's real, ask yourself, how many times have you received poor customer services? What did you think about the company? Did you complain about the company to your friends in conversation? Did you write a comment on social media? Probably yes. And this destroys businesses. Bad reputations destroys businesses. But because you're thinking about this upfront in your clubs and now your hearts, it gives you that competitive advantage. You're 50% of the way there to making sure you're in the top 60% of businesses that succeed in the US. But there's more to come. And if you're liking the content so far, leave a quick thumbs up, leave a comment below, and also don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me, helps the channel, and also I know the algorithm's listening. It also listens to you with that too. Cheers. But the heart also extends to the team you're building, and the team doesn't necessarily have to be people on your payroll. Let's face it, what startup immediately has enough money to pay for someone straight away? Very few, and that's totally fine. But the team doesn't have to mean those people getting paid by you, because it's unlikely you're going to be paying yourself from day one anyway. So what does the team consist of? The team consists of anybody that's adding any value to your business. Full stop. That's as simple as that. Doesn't need to get any more complicated, and you don't need an MBA from an Ivy League university to know that. If you've got a mail order business, the postal services, the post office, the courier that's going to ship your equipment or products and services out to others. If you're a local high street business, it's the word of mouth. The customers become members of your team surreptitiously. They don't realize it, but delivering a great service for them will mean they'll talk about you, your brand, and your service to everyone else. The team is anyone that's going to help your business move forward. End of story. And along with hearts, you've also got communication. The communication should be really clear, consistent, and the message should always be the same. It really resonates with your personal values and standards. That should come out in spades in your business, because your business is an extension of you and your personality. What might that look like? Well, if you've got a particularly high moral bar and you absolutely do not subscribe to global conflict or animal rights, you may not want to stock products that come from affected war zones. You may not want to stock animal-based products, and that can be part of your communication, your vision, your branding, and your messaging going forward. And everyone knows that upfront. This means your customer base becomes loyal, and you'll get repeat business and repeat custom because people like to identify with those values and standards. So now you know 2 of the 4 critical components to being successful in your $1 million business. Fantastic. You're already halfway there in getting yourself into the top 60% of business successes in the US in the next 3 years. Congratulations. So what's number 3? Diamonds. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. They're a man's best friend too, right? Who doesn't like a diamond? Diamond means finances. And this is the number 1 reason why businesses fail in the first 3 years, because the business owners, the startup founders of these businesses do not understand or have a handle on their finances. You've got to be considering right from the outset startup costs, operating costs, pricing and profitability, margin, you might have heard that, sales. There's a reason why I emphasize that. And cash flow. The cash flow is your ability to look into the future and predict peaks, troughs and valleys of the cash coming into your business, which means you'll be able to stave off negative periods, getting into the red, and ultimately the business failing. Personally, when I start a business, I always overestimate the costs wildly, and I always underestimate the income that I'm going to generate. And then I add a percentage for reserves. You can never be too cautious. Actually, that's a lie, you can be too cautious, but in this stage, you can never be too cautious. So now you know 3 out of the 4 critical components to starting your $1 million business today, which means in 3 years' time, you'll all be sipping pina coladas on a beach in Aruba. So what's the 4th? The 4th is really interesting because it's that critical component that people really don't like doing. Spades. It's putting in the work. I can't and I won't sugarcoat this. Starting a business is time consuming, it's hard, probably harder than working a normal regular paid job, and most likely is going to be thankless. Any business owners watching this, comment below and tell me, or affirm to me, and tell the other viewers of this channel if that's true or not. You'll have to have a really strong vision up front, which comes in the clouds that we discussed earlier on, to sustain you through those dark days when it's just getting too much. You're up at 6 and you're not going to bed till midnight, and all you seem to be doing is working on the business every single minute of the day. Well, I've got news for you. That's the spades. That's the work. That's the level of effort that needs to go in. And you can look at the big S&P 500 business owners, or in the UK, the FTSE 100 business owners, and ask them if they've suffered the same tribulations. They have. But also you can look at any business startup on your high street, any independent, and say, was it tough in the beginning? And they'll all agree, yes. Just read the comments below if those business owners have left a comment. But don't worry, after all of this work and effort, over a period of time, green shoots of success will start to appear, because that's the nature of business. Once you get over those dark days, you'll start to see success. And I can liken that to this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel represents that for me. In the beginning, it's really thankless. You put all this time in, writing coming up with an idea, writing a script, doing the thumbnail design, thinking about how you're going to put it out there, how you're going to share it and market it. And you do all of this every single week, week in, week out, for a like, a comment, and a subscribe. Shout out to all the YouTube creators out there on the same mission. So when you see that subscription and I open my emails and it says you've got 1 new subscriber, it is like winning the lottery. That's how great it is. And that's what it means. So if you could, that'd be fantastic. But back to the small business, it could be winning that first small contract. It doesn't matter, it's a huge win. It's making that first $1 in profit. $1 in profit from all the effort you've put in. You've got all of your costs back and you've made some profit. That dollar is the most magical dollar you'll ever make. You just want some more, like 1,000,000 times more. Every bad day you'll learn something new, but you'll be stronger for it, that I assure you. And before you know it, you'll be taking on a new hire because all this cash flow is coming in, demand's going through the roof, and it's all because you stuck to these essential 4 critical components for $1 billion, let's go there, $1 billion clubs, hearts, diamonds, spades. So that's it. Well, sort of. Scale is the secret sauce.